couple of songs that I wrote in 2001 about the convoys between the UK and Russia in 1942. This one is about the PQ17 disaster. It was going to Murmansk in June 1942. In 1942, in June, the merchant ships formed up, loaded to the gunnels with their planes and guns and tanks, enough to serve an army 50,000 in the field. The PQ17 formed up in ranks. The PQ17 formed up in ranks. 56 from Reykjavik, 9 columns in the sea. 35 were merchantmen, the rest their guardian fleet. 7 knots or 8, with planes and U-boats looking on, crossed QP13's returning beat. Crossed QP13's returning beat. Air attacks were sinking ships, too slow to fast escape. Tirpitz out of Trondheim, 30 knots along the breeze. Admiral Pound in London overruled his naval staff, ordered convoys scatter to the seas, ordered convoys scatter to the seas. Merchantmen with no defence, abandoned to their fate, fanned to north and east and south and east to stay afloat, aiming into Russian ports or aiming out to ice. Targets in a duck chute sunk by rote. Targets in a duck chute sunk by rote. Empire, Byron, Carlton, Daniel Morgan, Honolulu, Navarino, Bolton Castle, Paulus Porter sank. Ulston, Pancraft, River Afton, Samuel Chase as well. Zaffaron and Fairfield City sank. Zaffaron and Fairfield City sank. Peter Kerr and Pan Atlantic and John Witherspoon, Alco Ranger, Alopana, Hartlebury too. Aldersdale, the oiler, Empire Tide, the camp ship sank. Hoosier and El Capitan and crew, Hoosier and El Capitan and crew. All the Barents Sea was scattered with their lifeboat men, desperate men with frostbite and with death upon each mind. With no food and bailing ocean, aiming into land, fearful of the day and what they'd find, fearful of the day and what they'd find. Washington and high explosives, deck ablaze was left. Gun crews into lifeboats pulled for 10 long days or more, waving off their would-be rescue ship, they watched it sink, rigged their sail and rowed to meet the shore, rigged their sail and rowed to meet the shore. Ayrshire, armed for battle, herded 3 ships to the ice. Silver Sword, Ironclad, and Troubadour, the 3 she caught. Repainted white they blended in to skirt the barren sea. Stealthy crept across to meet the port. Stealthy crept across to reach the port. Murmansk closed, Archangel aimed for crossing the White Sea. 11 battered ships made landfall, ports and rocks and bays. Stalin's greeting accusation, letting down the war. Stop the convoys till the autumn days. Stop the convoys till the autumn days. Zamalek and Rathlin, Bellingham and Northern Gem, Ocean Freedom, Azerbaijan made the port at last. Ben Harrison and Silver Sword, Ironclad and Troubadour, Winston-Salem, the last ship that passed. PQ17, a gallant group of ships and men, paid the price for bad decisions, leaving them as prey. Took the deaths and took the blame for all their grand success. They helped to win the war in their own way. They helped to win the war in their own way. Latterly, all men were honoured for their convoy run. Gauntlet run for years across the German ships and plains. When Murmansk, that hero city, told what they had done, honoured them for Soviet battle gains, honoured them for Soviet battle gains. Their own country, of course, stopped their pay to the half day of when they landed in the sea, and didn't recognise their absolute bravery for very many years after the Russians had already recognised it. Following the PQ17 disaster of June 1942, as it was moving from Reykjavik, having got together as a convoy, up to Archangel, it couldn't get into Murmansk because of the bombing, so it was aiming for Archangel. And having heard of the disaster by July 1942, the Murmanetz, which was setting off on Ice Patrol 18 from Archangel, went around the sea. And this is what they did. Murmanetz from Archangelsk on Ice Patrol 18, a wooden ship with 28 across the barren sea, as Captain Kotsov knew full well, great danger loomed ahead, were PQ17 abandoned merchant ships for dead. Donbass swamped, but limping in to Archangelsk at last, with Daniel Morgan's sunken crew, they crossed the cold white sea, marooned on Gazineya Island, all Opana's crew. From 2 long weeks adrift in lifeboats, 12 men breathed anew. Murmanetz moved men to safety in Belushia Bay, where settlements could bring them comfort till they went away. On July 17th the flotsam on the barren swell included frozen bodies, oil-slicked, scarred by shot and shell. 7 lifeboats all in tow, Murmanetz chugged on, 100 men from sunken ships, to reach the Empire tide, though frozen men were still alive. From rafts and boats they came, with frostbite wounds and burns to tend, but living just the same. Murmanetz was overflowing with her rescued men, as every space was used at last, and still they needed help. Hot tea and soup and tending wounds, the days and nights blurred on, and every crewman stood his watch until with danger gone. Winston-Salem on the beach, filled with new planes and tanks, towed at high tide, anchored fast to Murmanetz at sea. A crew made up of fear and dread, and mother's shipwrecked sons. To Archangelsk the Winston-Salem took new tanks and guns. Murmanetz from Archangelsk on ice patrol 18, a wooden ship 200 tons across the barren sea, a saviour of the shipwrecked crewman, human, fine and brave. Her men deserve the highest praise for those whose lives they saved. Murmanetz from Archangelsk on ice patrol 18, a wooden ship 200 tons across the barren sea, a saviour of the shipwrecked crewmen, human, fine and brave. For men deserve the highest praise for those whose lives they saved. Murmanetz from Archangelsk on ice patrol 18, a wooden ship with 28 across the barren sea, as Captain Kotsov knew full well, great danger loomed ahead. Were PQ17 abandoned, merchant ships for dead. Seamen will always look out for seamen wherever they can. And it happened here, July 1942. The Murmanetz, Ice Patrol 18.